It's time. Time to get credit for the work you've done. Time to get the recognition you deserve. With Purdue Global, you can move forward in your career, for your family, and for yourself. You're worth the investment in yourself to earn a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will respect. Purdue's online university is designed to support working adults like you who know it's never too late to accomplish your goals. It's never too late to make a comeback. It's time to start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
This episode is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. It's a special thing to be a member of Navy Federal because they are a member-owned, not-for-profit credit union that invests in its members with amazing rates and low fees. That's why members could earn and save more every year. Plus, they serve all branches of the armed forces, veterans, and their families. So if you're interested in becoming a member, learn more at NavyFederal.org. At Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Episode 347, How to Start Running with Martinus Evans.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are sharing an interview with one of my personal favorite runners, the creator of the Slow AF Run Club, Martinus Evans. If you don't know who he is at 300 pounds and running on all of his socials, and he is making running accessible for everyone. And I love him. I love what he's all about. I love the other social media runners that are in his profiles that he highlights. Like, they have given me so much encouragement as a non-traditional runner that I wanted to share him with you, and then also encourage others to pick up this hobby that I have loved so much and see if it's right for you.
This was an excellent interview. You all know, and you'll hear me talk throughout, I personally am not a runner, but if there's anyone who's going to convince me, it's definitely Martinus, and hopefully you'll see why.
Yeah. I love to say that running is frugal fitness, and it can be, and we'll talk about this in the interview, but it also cannot be. And there's nobody that can espouse that better than today's sponsor, overpriced 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, and marathons. Maybe you have started running because you don't want to pay for a gym membership. You just want to see if running is right for you. And that's amazing. That's the frugal way to do it. Don't procrastinate and spend all this money on shoes and outfits and gym memberships and dumbbells before you know you're going to stick with the dang thing. But be prepared. If you do stick with the dang thing, then you may find yourself signing up for overpriced 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, and marathons, like the ones at Disney World or Disneyland or the New York Marathon or Boston. It is a gateway drug to spending a lot of money on a sport that you thought was going to be frugal when you started it. But if you value it, spend the money on it. And if you don't know what you value yet, then sign up for the friend letter, frugalfriendspodcast.com/friend letter. Or honestly, you could just go to frugalfriendspodcast.com. It's right there on the homepage. And we will send you an email 3 times a week with free activities, free fun, maybe even links to some free running clubs, tips to save money, and tips to help you refine your values-based spending habits, become a better spender so that you have more margin to spend on the things that you really care about, like overpriced races at Disney. So again, frugalfriendspodcast.com, sign up for the friend letter, and make your inbox a safe space. Get all those marketing emails out of there and open up the friend letter 3 times a week.
Wow, just spitballing the sponsor today. You didn't even write it in the outline, just going.
All right. There was no script on that. The script said friend letter.
And seamless connection made between overpriced running parades and
Yeah. I don't
Fun
spend
leather.
money on nice bags or shoes, but when the Disney races open up, I'm there. Even if I'm 1 week postpartum, I'm there. So if you are excited to develop a habit that causes you to spend a lot of money, no, I'm just kidding. I love running. I got into running in college. I grew up with asthma. I am not athletic. You literally throw a ball at me and I will not catch it. I will look at it as it flies by me. That is how athletic I am. And I'm slow. And I picked up running in college as a way to stop having asthma attacks. It's literally, that was why. I just wanted to stop. And I also had 15 pounds to lose. I had just spent 3 months on the road living in a van eating Nutella for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that was also part of it. And it has
follow us for more frugal tips.
Yeah. It changed.
Not the van life Instagram shows.
No, God. Yeah. Jill, we talk about how Jill lived in an RV. Everyone forgets I lived in a van first.
And ate Nutella.
Yeah. Before Jill lived in an RV, I lived in a 16-passenger van. But running has really shifted my relationship with fitness and health. Before running, I did not have a healthy relationship with my body. And running has given me a way to pursue fitness, not because of the way it will make me look, but the way it makes me feel. And I think everyone deserves to have something like that. So for you, it may not be running, but I wanted to share Martinus's wisdom with you because maybe it is, and maybe you just don't think it's for you. But this episode, this interview is a very, very great way to kind of find out if it's really your preferences or if it's mental barriers that are keeping you from getting out there. So let's get into it. Martinus Evans has run over 8 marathons since his doctor told him to lose weight or die. And he has coached hundreds of runners. He's the founder of Slow AF Run Club, which is a community of over 20,000 members worldwide. And he has a new book out called Slow AF Run Club, the ultimate guide for anybody who wants to run. When he's not running races around the world, he enjoys speaking passionately about issues related to size inclusivity, mindset, DEI, and mental health. And he is a joy. So here he is.
Let's get to it.
Martinus, welcome to Frugal Friends Podcast. We are so excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
What an amazing opportunity to talk with you about the community that you've built. I am so impressed by it. I was checking out your website before we jumped on with you, and it feels so congruent in many ways to some of the things that have been really valuable for us with Frugal Friends of community and how important that is for these other endeavors that can be quite difficult. So specifically as it relates to running, I'm so excited to hear your perspective. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about Slow AF? How did you get started running? What do you recommend to others? Just kick it off about yourself.
All righty. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to wherever you're in the world while listening to this thing. My name is Martinus Evans. I am the founder of the Slow AF Run Club. Slow AF Run Club, it's a community of 25,000 members worldwide who has all the same goal of just running in the body that you have today. Overall goal and mission with the Slow AF Run Club is just to provide accessibility in the sport of running in ways that traditionally and historically has not been provided. And we just look forward to just making a big splash in the sport of running, especially for how I like to call it adult onset runners, right? For people who maybe never been active in high school or in college and now getting older in age and just trying to figure out what is this movement thing. We plan to be that place for those individuals. I started running about 10 years ago. So more or less, I went to go see a doctor. He called me fat, told me I either need to lose weight or die. But I wasn't even there because of any of that stuff. Basically, I was at this doctor because I was having some hip issues because I was working at a job that required me to be on my feet for about 10 hours a day. And I went to this doctor and he was like, oh, I know what's wrong with your hip. You need to lose weight or die. We had some arguments. I wanted to hit him, but I didn't. I told him I was going to run a marathon. He laughed at me and told me that was the most dumbest thing he heard. His years of practicing medicine. And if I ever tried to run a marathon, I'll die on the course. So needless to say, I left that doctor's office and I bought running shoes that day. And I was like, well, let's see if I die. And that was about 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. And how soon after that did you run that marathon?
I ran a marathon, my first marathon, probably about 18 months after meeting that doctor.
Oh my gosh.
Did you send him photos of your finishing?
How did you rub it in his face?
I never seen him again another day in my life.
Did you send him a copy of your book? Should you?
Maybe. The thing is, it's been so long. I don't even know this doctor is even alive anymore. Who knows? Like,
That's so right.
I don't even know if he's even practicing medicine. It's one of those things where I don't think about him. There's a little message in there for him if he ever come about this book, but I'm pretty sure he don't remember who I am. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm just another fat black somebody that he told he was fat that day and he went on about his life.
It's so angering because what did he want you to do as a result? Between a rock and a hard place. And
yes,
you can't do good for yourself in either direction. It's so maddening. You made an incredible circumstance out of that experience. It's a bummer that that was the impetus, but sometimes anger really does create some forward motion for us.
Spite is the best motivator.
Oh, man.
I'm glad to hear that you've completely moved on. You don't think about him much, but that was a fire for sure.
We would be doing some salacious things that we probably wouldn't talk about publicly. So no need to pry into it. So tell me about those 18 months between that doctor visit and your first marathon. What was the journey like to get there? And is that what you recommend people recreate? Or like, what are the mistakes that you made? Just walk us through that 18 months.
So that's what my whole book is about, is all the mistakes I made in running, more or less. So let's talk about it. I bought shoes that day. I went running and I fell off the treadmill on my first run. Didn't run longer than 15 seconds. So that's a mistake that happened. And then pretty much embarrassed myself in front of the whole fitness center in my apartment complex. Because, you know, who goes running for the first time in their apartment gym with everybody being there but me? So that was something. I would say more or less it was like kind of hellacious. Like I bumped and shuffled and bruised myself along this journey, from falling off the treadmill to having very bad chafe. I used to call my legs taco meat thighs because like the chafe was so red and raw that it kind of looked like taco meat. I've had people yell at me.
I mean, there's worse things to look like, right? Tacos are real great.
Yes, but I want my thighs to look like taco meat. So there was a lot of stuff that I learned, but I would say like my journey was kind of methodical, where I learned how to run a 5K, and then I ran a few 5Ks, and then I trained for a 10K, and I ran a few 10Ks, and then trained for a half, ran a few halves, and then trained for a marathon. It kind of just went from there. So very methodical. If that's the way you want to do it, absolutely. However, I just learned along the way throughout this journey was that the typical running books and just the typical knowledge about running is not necessarily made for slower individuals or individuals who are in the back of the pack or like non-traditional runners, right? So there was no information out there for me, right? So much so like I went to like become a certified run coach, not to train anybody, but just so I can learn. I thought to myself, well, if I'm a certified run coach, like I'll learn all the things that I need to like, if I learn everything I need to train somebody else, then I can train myself, and like still bumped and bruised myself along the way.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to ask something.
Oh,
we usually do volley, but I was like, is she about to say something?
When we're like listening to somebody intently, sometimes we'll lose our volley. So I am personally a runner, but it took me a long time to be able to say that because I'm not fast. I'm not naturally athletic. I'm not a gifted runner. I'm not a gifted athlete. And so I felt like I can't call myself a runner because I'm not fast. I'm not a good quote unquote good runner. And it took following people like you and other quote unquote non-traditional runners to accept that, okay, I run, therefore I'm a runner. And I think we internalize, if we're not fast, if we don't look like the people running the Boston Marathon, that we can't do this. And it's really like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Did you feel that? How'd you get over it?
Oh man, you got 10 years of therapy and like just a lot of self-work. I wish I had an easy answer, but that's hard, right?
Yeah.
It took years to do that, but I think one of the things that I kind of learned throughout this journey was like, we're all abiding by rules that somebody made up. And you'll never know who these people are, but somebody else made rules for you and you don't know who they are. And we're just abiding by those rules. So I think for me, that was kind of the start of like, oh, if that's the case for like everything else in this world, it's definitely the case for running as well. If that's the case, like, why not just create my own rules and live by my own rules? Because if that makes me happy, then like, who cares what everybody else say? And then like, I started to peel away at the onion of like running. One of the things I learned throughout this process was most races are permitted as a parade. There's no such thing as like a race permit.
Wow.
I had no idea.
In certain areas, in certain towns and countries, certain municipalities, they don't have a race permit. They have a parade permit. And if you think about it in that sense, once you get the elite athletes out the way, and if your job is not an elite athlete to like win races and get first, second, or third place, or if you're not in that first corral, then all of us are just running in a parade.
I love that.
I do too.
I'm here for the floats.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, we are all just human floats. And like, if that's the case, last time I see a parade, I don't see like the Santa Claus parade being like, oh, I need to catch up with the Mickey Mouse float. And like, I'm not afloat because I'm not running as fast as Mickey Mouse. Like, everybody just a part of it. And people wave and they cheer and they take pictures. We're doing the same thing.
Amazing. I'm usually the one holding the sign, taking the pictures, screaming.
Yeah, this is super relevant for me because my next half marathon is at Disney.
Okay.
So I will be running next to Mickey Mouse and he'll be standing still though. So I won't have to catch up to him.
Yeah.
Part of the parade. I'm becoming more and more obsessed with this idea of you can do things just because you love them. And it's also okay if you don't have a personal goal of becoming the best at it, or even continuing to set personal best records. That's great if that's you, but I'm meeting so many people in various spaces being like, I do this thing. That makes me a rock climber. That makes me a runner. That makes me an artist. But I don't have these lofty goals of doing the Boston Marathon or hiking the highest peak or being a paid artist, and that's okay. I can do with this what I want. I can set personal records, or I can just maintain, and all of that is beautiful. And I'm getting some of that message overlap from what you're describing of your journey and your community.
Absolutely. Because like, it goes back to rules. Like, who made this stuff up? Like, who made up the fact that if you're not training for Boston, then you're not a runner, right? If you don't qualify to run Boston, you're not a runner. But guess what? Like, I ran Boston and I ain't qualified. So that makes me less than a runner. Like, kick rocks.
How did you run Boston?
Oh, I was sponsored by one of their sponsors. So that's the thing. Like, you can run Boston so many different ways. Of course, there's qualifying and chasing 3 hours, but there's also running for charity, and you can do that. There's also the sponsors of the race usually have bibs that they give away to like random people just cause. So like, imagine reaching out to like one of the sponsors and being like, hey, I got this compelling story and my dream is to run Boston. Do you have any bibs? And they might be like, yeah, here's a bib. Or like, you can also pay for a bib. There's this company called Marathon Tours that you can buy a bib through them to run Boston.
Wow.
There's so many ways to run Boston Marathon that people are like, oh, if you didn't do the whole 3 hour thing, you ain't do it. I'm like, so what? So that's the thing, is that by what rules are we listening to? who are making this stuff up. And when you start to like peel back the ways that you can do it, you can be like, so what? And I think that's the funny thing, because it's people that's like, well, you know, you took a spot for somebody else because you didn't qualify. And I'm like, no, I didn't. The company sponsored this race and they get bibs, and it has nothing to do with the number of spots that are available for people who got qualified. Go mind your business.
That's crazy. I mean, honestly, we say that all the time with finances. So I don't know why it's blowing my mind with running. Like, everyone is trying to live this budget or this financial goal that somebody else said that they should reach or live. And we're saying like to question that. And it's the same with any activity. You can do whatever you want. Thank you for coming.
And that's the thing. Like, if people want to run Boston, like if they want to qualify, be my guest. Like, more power to you. But like, you running a race at a certain speed does not make you morally superior than somebody else. And I think for a lot of people, we tend to like forget that. Like, that don't make you morally superior because you ran faster than you. Great, golf clap. But like, that don't move me. Letting people know that like there's so many ways to get into this thing if you want to run it, that you don't even have to qualify, and you can do it. And if that's a part of your journey, you can just do it, right? But like, you don't have to go with the rigmarole of all the other stuff that or formalities that people put out there that tell you, oh, you got to do it this way. And if you don't do it this way, then you don't matter. I blow people's minds when I show them the Boston medal. I'm like, yeah, this is the medal. I got Boston. And it's like, so many things about what they think about Boston start to run through their head. One of them was like, oh, you qualified. Like, what race did you qualify and how fast you run? And I was like, I didn't qualify. I ran via a sponsor. Go reach out to Amazon or like go reach out to Adidas and see if they can get you a bib. It blows their mind because it's like, oh my God, you ran Boston and you didn't qualify? So it kind of messes up their whole external foci of like what it means to be a runner or to run Boston and like do it without necessarily doing it in a way that everybody thinks they need to do it.
Yeah, you got creative. You didn't follow the rules. How dare you?
Yeah.
So for those listening who are interested in blowing minds or are as equally as angry as you were when you got started, how much does it cost to start running?
That is a
Let's
trick
talk
question.
business.
Yeah, I know, because it can be very frugal, it can be very inexpensive, or it can be very expensive. There's a spectrum.
That is a trick question for my frugal friends.
I'm not trying to trap you.
Like, when you started, what were the expenses you were happy to pay? Stuff you wish you hadn't bought, stuff you wish you'd bought sooner, or even like race expenses, stuff like that.
Okay. Theoretically, if somebody wanted to go out to run, they can run today, like with the stuff that they have. Everybody has a pair of sneakers. They might be beat up, but like if you wanted to start running, you can do that. But eventually you're going to have to go get a pair of shoes. Like that's probably going to be your most expensive, well, the initial most expensive thing that you're going to buy. Because like running shoes are expensive. They can cost you anywhere between like $150 plus. So like going into like a running specialty store and getting a shoe fit, things of that sort, that's by far like the most important thing. And then could be the most expensive thing starting out. Running gear, shorts, running bras for the ladies, things of that sort. Most of the time we have some of that stuff at home just laying around. So you could theoretically just use that until you feel like, hey, I want to buy some stuff. But like that kind of stuff, you want to lace yourself out and get new gear, like maybe $300, get you a whole running wardrobe. And then you start talking about like other accessories. Do you want a fancy water bottle? Do you want a fancy running watch? Or are you going to use like the running app on your phone? Do you want to run races? Do you want to travel to races? And like those are like things that you can't necessarily plan for right off rip. If you stay in California and you want to run New York City Marathon and say you got in via the lottery, the ticket might be just for the race might be like $250, but then you got to buy the plane ticket and hotel and things of that sort. So it really just depends on like how deep you want to go into this thing. Yeah, pretty much that's how deep you want to go into this thing.
Yeah. Is there ever a journey that people take where they just run and they don't pay to run in parades? Is that a thing? Or is that just inevitable for everybody? They're all going to end up.
there's people who just run just for the heck of it and like not need that stuff. But like some people need that validation of, I got a race medal out of this, and like start collecting race medals. And one of the things is a gateway drug to spend more money.
Yeah.
Running is an expensive sport, but it has tons of big money in it. From like running gear to these races to charities. Like there's so much money in the sport of running, which is like a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because your pockets can definitely take a hurting on there. So are there people who run for the sake of running without like participating in a race? Like, yes. But what I found for my own personal thing, I'm not running unless I'm training for something to get a shiny piece of metal at the end of this thing.
That's me. Same. I need the validation of the finish line. I need to like feel those tears well up behind my eyes when I cross the finish line near the back of the pack. So there's already confetti from the first people that came across.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking at all the confetti and I need that. Yeah, I'm only running if I'm training, but I will agree, like you can start very inexpensively. And I think that's why we wanted to highlight running, because you don't need expensive dumbbells. You don't need a gym membership. There are so many things you don't need to get started. And that is the biggest hurdle for most people. It's the mental thing. That's the biggest hurdle to jump through. It's not finances. And you can work up to buying stuff. But I would agree, like the shoes, getting fitted for shoes, my hips and my knees are not great. And whenever I go back for shoes, every time I need like more padding in my shoes. And I said that to the guy that owns the store and he's like, yep, you get older every year. And I was like, please stop. Nobody asked you. I mean, I did, but like nobody asked you. But yeah, and I'll spend $150 on a brand new pair of running shoes. That's the most expensive shoes I own.
But in the grand
sure.
scheme of things, if that's the cost, okay, it's your shoes.
Right.
You can choose as you value it and understand yourself what more you're going to be spending on. But overall, it sounds to me like a relatively inexpensive sport, because every other sport generally is going to include running on top of all the other gear and equipment, except for golf. How is that a sport? I don't know.
Don't come at us, golf people.
I don't know. Maybe you're running. I don't know. Maybe you can't afford the golf cart and you're running. But otherwise.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
We know New Year's resolutions often don't stick. In fact, on average, they last around 30 days. So if saving money is on your 2024 resolution list, here's a foolproof way to stick to yours.
Switch your phone provider to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month.
For those of you paying close to $40 a month for just one phone line, this means a savings of $300 over the course of the year. We especially like Mint because all plans come with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/frugal. That's mintmobile.com/frugal. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/frugal. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
But that's the thing, Jill, is that initially it can be inexpensive, but it does rack up because like if you get into the hype of all the other things that goes along with running. So it's like, do you get into this thing and then you got running friends and it's like, oh, that's a nice watch. Tell me about your running watch. Next thing you know, you got like a $600, $700 running watch. And it's
gosh.
Like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, what races are you running? Oh, I want to be a 50 stater too. Next thing you know, you're traveling around the United States trying to be 50 staters. And then it's like, oh, what shoes? The super shoes? Yes, I'll pay $300 for super shoes. They got carbon plate in it. Like, it's definitely one of those things where initially it can be inexpensive, but like if you fall for like all the other hype stuff, you'll get looped in and be paying like thousands of dollars.
I mean, that's why there's so much money in running. It's such an easy sport to get hyped up on and to get so much stuff in. But like, you just have to like pick and choose what you're going to spend money on. For the longest time, all of my running clothes were just old t-shirts and stretchy capris. But I would spend money to run Disney races. That's what I wanted to do. I want to spend a lot of money to run inside of a theme park I don't even get to ride rides in. That is what I want to do.
And having to wake up at 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Earlier. God, you'd be late if you wake up at 3 a.m.
Oh, 2 a.m.
But gradually, I've started to evolve in my wardrobe. But like, you just pick and choose. The other day, and my husband Travis doesn't know this, but he bought the carbon plated shoes. He did spend $300 on his shoes. So like, he can do that. I signed up for the 10-mile race and I didn't tell him about it. It's in April. I have time.
Does he not listen to the pod?
Because two of my friends said that they were doing, because I had a friend text me saying like, oh, I'm doing the Disney 10-miler in April. You should do it. And I'm like, maybe. I was thinking about it. And then literally later that day, my other friend said, oh yeah, we're doing the Disney 10-miler. And I was like, well, there's my sign. That's the sign that I needed. It's confirmation. But you work up to that. And I think the biggest cost is the mental barrier to get started.
I'm shaking my head for the audio experience people. I'm shaking my head, yes, because you may not see me vividly shaking my head. But yes, that is the greatest cost, is the mindset that comes along with the sport and like all the ups and downs that comes in it, the sweat equity that comes along with running, that costs you more. Because if you're not like mentally sound or ready for it, like your mind can play the greatest tricks on you and having you just feel less than a runner while participating in it.
Yeah. All right. So for people trying to get over that mental barrier, who think that they want to get started, but are like you and me, and like definitely don't feel like athletic people, don't feel like runners, definitely hated the mile run in school and couldn't do cross country to save my life, sort of thing. How does somebody like that get started? Like, what are some of the action steps?
So for my frugal friends, you go get a library card and you go request my book from the library.
Oh,
amen.
Yes.
That's what I like to hear.
I support that.
A little plug.
Or just buy it. You can afford it.
Like,
yeah.
But if they're frugal, they're going to the library.
And we love
make the library buy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make your tax dollars work. What I would say is that, like, the funniest thing is that in my chapter, I have a chapter called You versus Your Mind versus Everybody. And like, that's literally what running is you, your thoughts and feelings about running. How do you get off the couch? The thoughts and feelings about yourself, how you feeling about yourself, your mind, your mindset. So all of the things that's going on in your head, it's like the voices is like, you can't do this. Go sit back down, whatever. And then you got everybody else. These are the people who may be looking at you, or you think they're looking at you, or people who say snide remarks like, good for you. I hate when people are like, good for you. Oh, you ran 7 now. Good for you. So that is all a big battle. And one of the things that new people need to do is really start to like break up those things. And you start with you, right? this is what you think about. It's this notion of like, not everything you feel is real and not everything you think of yourself is true. So then really trying to think about like, oh, these are just thoughts that are just coming through. How do I separate these thoughts knowing that I know they're not true? And one of the things that I've done that has helped me is I've given my inner critic a persona. So my inner critic name is Otis. He has a raspy voice. He smokes packs of cigarettes and he says random things to me all day. And so whenever there is a limiting belief or a thought that's like, I can't do this, or you should do X, Y, and Z, I have a conversation with Otis to say like, this is not true. You're just saying this stuff and I know I'm better than that, right? So that's one thing, right? Second thing is having delusional self-belief, right? The notion of all of the modern marvels, stuff we think about. We are having a conversation and I'm talking to a screen and you see me and y'all talking to a screen and I see y'all. Somebody had to make that up. Flying. Somebody made that up. Somebody was like, the birds fly. I want to fly with them as well. You can imagine somebody being like, sir or madam, what are you smoking? I would like some as well. You've had too much of the milk of the poppy. But like somebody has followed that dream to like make it work. And for you had to be so wedded to your dreams and your goals that sometimes your friends and family might think that you're out of your mind, but you believe in yourself so much and you do the work that you make it happen. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is like, sometimes you got to just tell people to kick rocks and like, just move on about your day. And that's okay as well.
Yes. Go kick rocks. I'm a runner. That's it.
Thanks for taking us to therapy. Truly.
Thank you.
We got way more words just now that we can attach to our experiences. And Jen and I have talked about this before, a lot of the overlap that happens between various types of exercise, certainly running included, and learning how to be good stewards of our money and some of the mental blocks and barriers that come. And hearing you talk, I can see the correlation between all of these things. And as we would engage in something like what you're describing of pushing Otis's voice aside and moving forward and doing the dang thing is only also going to help us in our finances as we see ourselves capable of doing something that we didn't think we were capable of recognizing we are the experts on ourselves, but that doesn't mean we're always 100% accurate about, as you said, how we see the world, how we see ourselves. And just what a beautiful endeavor for anybody to partake in, because the benefits are going to be seen across our whole person.
Yeah. It's encouraging because I'm so bad at weights and running and athletic stuff that every time I make an improvement, there's a big improvement because there's so much progress to be made. I mean, when things you're already good at, how much can you improve? Like just little bits. So it's encouraging for stuff outside of exercise. Maybe you're listening, you are good at exercise. Find something you're bad at and try it. And if you enjoy it, stick with it because the satisfaction of getting better at it will seep into other things that you are trying to improve.
Martinus, any final tips that you have for us, for our listeners, just on what to expect from ourselves when we're getting started, or if we are concerned about injury, how to we can get started today with whatever ratty sneakers, but then what should we do to make sure that we're not irreparably hurting ourselves?
Yeah, so that is a great question. Most people get injured, most new people get injured by what I call the terrible twos. They do something too much, too soon, or too fast. They run too much, they run too fast, too soon, or run longer too soon, or they do both of it and they do it too fast. So it's really about understanding your body, understanding it takes your body 4 to 6 weeks to get used to something new. And after that, just slowly start to increase. So I would say for your listeners out there, don't fall for the terrible twos because that is the first step to getting injured. The second thing is that sometimes it's the things that you do outside of the sport of running that makes you better at running. So while, yes, you may not go to the gym, but cross training, some form of cross training, whether that's doing body weight at home or if you had some dumbbells, so on and so forth, doing some cross training also helps out because you're strengthening the muscles that helps become accessories to running so that you can stay healthy and not hurt yourself.
That's so helpful.
Yeah, I just figured that out this year. And I just started cross training to train for this race. And it's mostly due to the fact that I'm only 6 months postpartum. So I lost a lot of muscle mass. But I am realizing now that in my long runs, I would have pain like in muscles that I didn't know existed. And now that I'm like training small muscle groups, which is something I've never said before, I have less pain after.
Yes,
runs.
the accessory muscles are a big thing. They're small, but they're a big thing.
Right? And you don't want to train small muscles because you don't see the results. But if you're, this is definitely different than training for weight loss. And you also have to push down the urge to like, oh, I want to go fast. I should be able to go this speed. And then when I'm supposed to do an easy run, I rarely ever do it, quote unquote, easy because I'm always trying to go all out. I'm always trying to like break a PR. And it is a mind thing. It's a mind training sport as much as it is physically. It's crazy.
Speaking of small things being big things and it being too much, too soon, too fast, but it's fine.
Always. The Bill of the Week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the Bill of the Week.
Yes! Oh, man. You're right at home. You can stay.
Part of the show where we
yell. Please stay. Martinus, every week we invite our listeners or our guests to share with us a bill that has impacted them this week, whether it is a actual lowercase bill or an uppercase bill. And we would love to hear yours today.
Oh, man. I would say the bill that has really affected me this week or has made an impact is that I received the bill for merch samples for the next line for the Slow Front Club merch line. Ooh. So I received the bill for that, and that made me pretty exciting. It made me pretty excited.
And your shirts are so cool.
Thank you.
Like, they are very cool. And because I love turtles. So I'm maybe a little biased, but that's awesome.
So that is the bill that has affected me the most this week.
Oh, that's so exciting. We love the bills that we don't mind spending on. Next to people being Bill.
Those are our favorite bills.
That's my favorite. We
Bill
have yet
Curtis
for
is
an
our favorite
actual
Bill.
person named Bill to call us, but I'm holding out. So if that's you, if you're listening and you want to submit a bill of the week because your name is Bill, doesn't even matter if you run or ever look at your finances. We put all that aside.
It doesn't matter if you know what show.
Bill.
Somebody just holds the phone up to your ear.
Doesn't
your
matter.
Your name is Bill.
Or if you've got some really helpful examples and want to celebrate bills you don't mind paying, bills you paid off, you know the drill. frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill. We're here.
We all agree that reducing carbon emissions is a good thing. And once again, Toyota is leading the way. We hear a lot about fully electric vehicles, and Toyota has them, with more on the way. But we also know ABEV is not for everyone, whether it's because of cost, range, or concern about finding a charging station when you need it. Plus, the raw materials used to manufacture batteries are limited. Enter Beyond Zero, Toyota's vision for a carbon neutral future. In vehicles and in manufacturing plants, too, in the years ahead. The materials used to make just one long-range battery for an EV could be used to make batteries for 6 plug-in hybrids or 90 gas-electric hybrids. That's why Toyota's position today is electrified, diversified, empowering you to choose how to reduce your own carbon footprint with the vehicle that's right for you. A hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or battery EV. So, shop, learn more, and get details at toyota.com/beyond0. Toyota, let's go places.
It's never too late. Never too late to earn a degree. Never too late for a comeback. Between your busy career and taking care of a family, it can feel like there's never a good time to go back to school. But your time is now. Time to start your comeback with Purdue Global. As Purdue's online university for working adults, Purdue Global is dedicated to supporting adults like you who know it's time to earn the recognition you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge. It's time to get credit for the work you've done. You can balance work, family, and everything in between while earning your degree. It's time to move forward in your career, for your family and for yourself, with a degree you're proud of, a degree that employers will recognize and respect. You're worth this investment in yourself to earn a degree you deserve. It's never too late. Never too late to go back to school and come back stronger with an education you can trust. Now is the time for your comeback. Start yours today at purdueglobal.edu.
And now it's time for
The lightning
The lightning round. Pew, pew. Yeah. All right. This is
Actually,
the
I don't know if you hear my air horn. I got actually a air horn on my soundboard.
Yes.
We've
Oh my
never
gosh.
had that, and
You are our
here for
first
it.
guest that brings their own sound effects.
Well, it's funny because we've never ever actually had our own sound effects. It's always just like
Right.
whatever we can
That's the
spit
joke.
on our microphone. But you're elevating us. You're bringing us
We
to that
spit our
next
own
level.
sound effects, and you're bringing your own. Oh, okay. So this is our vulnerability round, and in it, we will say, what is the longest distance you've ever run? And what's your next running goal or goal for Jill? Martinus, you can go first because you're going to show us all up.
The longest distance I ever ran was a marathon. I ran 8 of them. The next race I'm doing Chicago 5K in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I love a 5K.
Do you feel ready?
You feel ready for that 5K? Have you trained for it?
I have not. I'm pretty nervous about that 5K.
Well, I have a book you should read if you need help training.
Okay.
Yeah. Jill, how about you?
Somewhere in the ballpark of 3 to 5 miles. Spoiler alert, I'm not a runner. I'm not so certain you could ever convince me. I am run curious. I admire all of you who do it. I've got my own version of exercise that I enjoy. So I've been forced to run in the past at school and college. Somehow that was a part of
You've been on runs with
our
me.
credits. Yep, because you forced me to go and there was free beer afterwards.
That wasn't
motivator.
enough to
That
keep
was-
you around?
That was a motivator for me. I did go. The run club
She went several
here in
times.
St. Pete
Yeah.
gave free beer afterwards. So yeah, that kept me going for a couple of Mondays through COVID. And it just wasn't for me. And then I also recognized that I don't want to flip a switch because I don't want to lose my toenails and I don't want to pee myself and be fine with
come
it.
on.
Like I just don't.
But I've never lost a toenail or
Me
peed
either.
myself, so I don't know where
Really?
she's getting this. You
Me
sound
either.
shocked that we just said this. Neither of us have lost a toe or peed themselves. And
That's
he's done 8
amazing.
marathons.
That's wild. I didn't know it was
Amazing.
possible. I thought, like, if you are a runner, you've got to just get used to it. No more toenails. No
And
more
that's
bladder
why we're doing
control.
this episode. That's the reason we're doing this episode.
We
right
need
there.
to change your external foci of running, Jill. Because if you
Here's
think
the thing,
peeing
though.
and toenails is the thing,
That's the thing.
we got to
Yeah.
change that.
That's a barrier. Like, that's a pretty big barrier.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a huge barrier if I thought I was going to pee myself. I don't know
Yeah.
if I would have started running.
The thing
I can see how
is-
that would be a huge barrier.
Yeah. The thing is I want to have a certain level of stamina for running because I see benefit. Like, if I'm ever being chased, I want to be able to have some degree of stamina. And that's about the motivator for me. But yeah, somewhere between 3 and 5 miles. Right now, I do more HIIT exercises. So I get my heart pumping while remaining stationary. And that's what I do. Not encouraging it for everybody else. I mean, if you're a runner, great admiration. But this is my vulnerability for you. Jen?
Pee and toenails.
You
There we go.
can't tell me that there's not other people who have said that that's their barrier to running.
Yes, but like not everyone loses their toenails or pee themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the extreme ones. You're right. That's
Yes.
the extreme version.
Even
I'm
if you're
afraid
doing a race,
that I won't be able to hold the radical middle on this.
there are bathrooms on courses.
But yeah, so there's porta potties.
You don't have to pee yourself if you
No.
don't want to.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Though you may not have toilet paper in some of these races, but at least you can go pee.
But like, runners can get so into running that they know that they're peeing themselves and they don't care. And knowing that that's a possible human experience for me makes me be like, I don't even know if I
don't
want
know
to
who
mess
you're
with
talking
that.
to.
That like
I don't
I
know who you're
could
talking to.
become the person who's just like, who cares?
I
Who
don't think you'll
even
ever become that
cares?
person, Jill, because
I'm
you don't want to
getting
be.
my PR. Getting it.
Pee.
Wow. Okay. We're going to move on from that one. For me, a half marathon is the longest distance I've ever done. And
Mhm.
I have done, I don't know, 5, maybe ish. I can't remember. And I'm doing one in November. The one
Wine
and
and Dine?
dine. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you going to be there?
No, that's the only Disney race I've ever ran.
It's the best one. This will be my 3rd or 4th time doing it. I'm so bad with counting. I should have come into this episode prepared. But yeah, I love that race and we'll be doing it. Roped my husband into signing up. He has not started training, but I have been running. I did an 8-mile long run last week. And I do not go up to 13 before the race. I think I will be lucky to hit 11. I don't know if I could do a marathon. I don't know if I'm a marathon. It's not like, I don't know if I have the capacity to train for a marathon. It's a lot of training.
It is.
And I got kids that they're needy. They're just needy. And some parents can do it, but I'm not that fast. It takes me a long time to run. I'm out there for a long time as it is. And I need my energy for other things right now. So I don't know if I'll ever run a marathon, but a half marathon is a good distance for me. I like it.
Half marathon is my favorite distance because you can train for it and still have a life.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Agreed.
Yes. And
So-
you,
Good summary.
you have the less propensity to pee on yourself.
I would agree.
Okay.
I have never peed myself.
Good
to this
know.
day.
I'm so glad to know this. I really thought that all of you'd be like,
You
yeah,
went
it
through
comes with
life.
the
We have been-
territory.
We have been business partners for like almost 6 years, and you have spent our entire relationship thinking I have peed myself.
I think you have peed
Enjoyably.
yourself. It just might not have been. It might have been for different reasons.
I have peed myself.
We're
Not
talking about
while
running,
running.
though.
Never while running.
Okay.
Martinus, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us like really have some breakthroughs individually and relationally.
Yes.
Where can people find your book, more from you, just you in general? Where can people get more?
Yeah, so you can find my book wherever books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local independent bookseller. It should be there. If you want an autographed copy, I do sell them on my website. So you can go to slowafrunclub.com and you'll be able to find where you can get an autographed copy there. It's pretty much everything Slow AF Run Club. So like we have an app, a free app for all my frugal friends. So if you're looking for a community of runners who are not peeing on themselves while running, You can download the app. You can download the app on your favorite app store. So Apple or iOS. You can search for Slow AF Run Club, and we have about 25,000 members worldwide there. I'm on all the interwebs, Instagram, Facebook, the Talks of the Ticks. You can find me at 300 Pounds and Running or a Slow AF Run Club. Yeah.
Amazing. This has been so fun. Thank you for removing and demystifying running, for me at least.
The urination.
So fun talking with you, Martinus.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Siriani.
Beautiful. What a gem.
I am still shook that you believe that I willingly would pee myself on a run in a race in front of so many people.
I thought that it was a part of becoming a runner. Not that you start there, but that you get there at some point, because everybody says you kind of do start to pay to run. You start to pay to take part in these races, even if you didn't intend that. So I'm thinking, and then there's the point where you didn't intend to lose your toenails, but it's happening. You didn't intend to pee yourself, but here we are, because the run
There's a huge
is worth
gap
it.
between paying for a race and not expecting that would be you.
Okay.
Peeing
There's a
yourself.
timeline and a spectrum. You just tell me when you do get there. I'm going to be waiting at home after that wine and dine run. I'll be waiting
For
to
sure.
hear.
Yeah.
I just had to
Okay.
finish. I wanted to beat
Okay.
my PR.
Yeah, I've been running for almost 15 years and I've never once.
That is good to know. I feel like everyone that I've talked to who has done a half marathon or more has lost toenails. So I don't know what they're doing wrong. If they're taking, if they don't have the right shoes, did they not spend enough money on shoes?
Shoes and socks are super important. I will get blisters. Blisters are common.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. I mean, I actually have heard the toenail thing on marathon runners, but that is far different from choosing to urinate yourself. Anyways.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you have a hot take on what your barriers are to running, well, yeah, let us know. Send it to us in an email.
Share
Get the friend letter and then respond to us in the friend letter, because it actually does come right back to our inbox.
Instagram, please. That's the way that Jill will see it fastest.
Another way that people are giving their feedback on our episodes is through kind reviews. We'll get stories from people just commenting while also leaving a 5-star review. So that's an option. And we're going to highlight one today, which comes from Anon. They didn't want us to know who they were, or their name is Anon. That'd be rich. Titled My Favorite Podcast. I love this podcast and look forward to hearing a new episode each week. I began my debt-free journey a couple years ago, and this podcast quickly became my top choice for finance podcasts. I love listening to Jen and Jill read advice from topical articles and talk about their own experiences. I also am motivated by listening to their guests' amazing debt-free journeys. Jen and Jill are fun and relatable and cover a variety of topics that make you feel like you can take control of your finances. Beautiful.
Thank you
Anon.
so much, Anon. And I know we haven't done many debt-free stories on the podcast this year, but that's because we did a video series over on YouTube called Debt-Free Stories, where we shared 10 of them from listeners just like you who have paid off debt in a variety of ways, backgrounds, settings. So definitely, if you love the debt-free journeys, head to Frugal Friends on YouTube and just queue all of them up. So thank you so much, Anon.
Yep. See you next time. Jen, speaking of the friend letter and speaking of sports, So one of the most recent friend letters that I wrote had to do with curiosity, which y'all will hear more on that through our podcast, through our friend letter, through the book that we're writing. But then it got me thinking about, what podcasts are out there about curiosity? And I did find one, and I listened to an episode because it was short. Love those. I know it's not the method we follow, but when I personally listen to podcasts, I do love the 15-minute little quick bites.
Well, you read children's books. You love 15-minute podcasts.
Yes. I love a good quickie. And this one that I listened to was about blinking and what that means specifically for race car drivers. But they've been studying it for, I think, athletes in general, but specifically it means the most for race car drivers because they drive so fast, something like 215 miles per hour. A blink means that they have their eyes so if you're 215 miles per hour and a blink takes about a second, they could travel 60 feet with their eyes closed. And so the importance of, just how important that is, then their eyes are closed. And then they were saying that they studied it more and realized that we automatically blink at more opportune times. So they studied when race car drivers are choosing to blink. And it's not even this thought necessarily, it's a subconscious. They're blinking at stretches of road where it's not as dangerous. So they're not blinking around turns. And they're finding similar with just people in general. We tend to blink at the pause of the person that we're listening to. We tend to blink at the end of a sentence that we're reading. Subconsciously, we are blinking at the times that are going to be most advantageous to us. We don't even realize it. It was jaw-dropping to me. Curiosity. Sometimes it doesn't kill the cat. Sometimes it saves the human.
Yeah. It is fascinating.
Yeah.
We blink. I'm so glad
so
that
now
you
you
love
can
that,
pay
Jill.
attention as you're
I love
running.
that for you.
Thank you. I love it for our listeners who also love it, because this is the type of stuff you can expect from me, at least. Jen will bring you something different. So there's a reason for everyone to come and stay.
My latest audiobook that I'm listening to right now is 20 hours long. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
How long
I listen
will
to it
ours
on
be?
1.25 speed.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's why our podcasts are an hour long. Jill would like them to be 15 minutes. I would probably make them 4 hours. And so that is why they are an hour. Fun fact.
I'm here for it.
With the best all-inclusive vacation deals to Mexico and the Caribbean, booking your getaway with Cheap Caribbean Vacations means you have more freedom to do your deal. Whether you want to enjoy snorkeling, endless margaritas, and more, or simply soak up the sun and sand in a tropical paradise, Cheap Caribbean Vacations has your deal for that. Plan and book the exact getaway you want at exactly the right price for you by using our exclusive budget Beach Finder, or find a featured all-inclusive package to Iberostar Hotels and Resorts and do your deal at cheapcaribbean.com.
Bring home Napoleon.
Destiny has brought me here.
The action epic from acclaimed director Ridley Scott.
What is your name?
Napoleon. You are the greatest leader in the history of the world.
Witness the rise.
You are nothing without me.
Of the legend. Starring Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby.
I'm the first to admit when I make a mistake. I simply never do.
Napoleon. Buy or rent on digital now. Rated R.